Have you ever been so caught up in shopping that you completely lose track of time? You walk into a store when the sun is high, and by the time you leave, it's pitch black outside. It's a common feeling, especially during the frenzy of Black Friday. But what if it wasn't just a feeling? What if the store itself was messing with time? Today, we're diving into the strange tale of a department store that decided not to close on Black Friday, and the shoppers who walked out of it forever changed. Our story begins on what should have been a normal, albeit chaotic, Black Friday. We all know the drill: massive crowds, unbelievable deals, and that unique blend of excitement and exhaustion. Among the countless stores participating was a large, well-known department store called Starlight & Sons. It was an old establishment, one of those grand multi-story buildings that felt like a relic from a different era, but it always drew huge crowds for its Black Friday sales. This particular year, Starlight & Sons announced something unprecedented. Instead of closing at the usual time, they would remain open until the last shopper leaves. It was a brilliant marketing move. People loved the idea. No more rushing, no more panic as the closing announcements echoed through the aisles. You could take your time, browse every department, and truly soak in the shopping experience. The doors opened at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving, and the rush was immense. Thousands poured in, eager to snag the best deals. The hours ticked by. 8 p.m., 10 p.m., then midnight. Black Friday officially began. The store was still packed, a buzzing hive of activity. Employees, fueled by caffeine and holiday bonuses, kept restocking shelves and ringing up customers. But as the clock struck midnight, a few shoppers started to notice something off. It began subtly. A man named David was in the electronics department looking for a new TV. He'd been comparing models for what felt like 10 minutes. When he finally made his choice and looked at his watch, he was shocked to see that nearly an hour had passed. He brushed it off, thinking he was just tired and misjudged the time. But he wasn't the only one. Across the store, in the home goods section, a woman named Maria was searching for a specific set of dinnerware. She remembered seeing the clock on the wall read 12:15 a.m. She found the set, checked it for any imperfections, and then made her way to the checkout line. When she got there, she glanced at the same clock. It now read 12:20 a.m. She could have sworn she spent at least half an hour in the home goods section alone. It felt impossible. As the night wore on, these strange temporal inconsistencies became more frequent and more pronounced. People would enter an aisle and feel like they were there for an eternity, only to find that mere moments had passed. Others would blink, and it seemed like the store's layout had subtly shifted. The festive music playing over the speakers began to sound distorted, like a cassette tape being played at the wrong speed. The atmosphere inside Starlight & Sons started to change. The initial festive energy was replaced by a low hum of confusion and anxiety. Shoppers would look at each other with furrowed brows, asking, "What time do you have?" The answers were never consistent. One person's phone would say 2 a.m., another's would say 4:30 a.m., and the store's own clock seemed to be stuck, twitching between minutes. This is where the stories really start to diverge. We have accounts from people who claimed they were inside the store for what felt like days. One young man, a college student named Leo, said he wandered through the menswear department for what seemed like an entire weekend. He described watching employees restock the same rack of shirts over and over again, their movements becoming robotic and looped. He felt a growing sense of panic, an oppressive feeling that he was trapped in a cycle. When he finally found his way to an exit, he burst out into the pre-dawn light. His phone said it was 5 a.m. He had only been inside for a few hours, but he felt as though he had aged. Then there are the opposite accounts. A mother and daughter, Sarah and Emily, went in to buy a dollhouse. They said they were in and out in a flash. They walked in, went straight to the toy department on the 3rd floor, found the dollhouse, paid, and left. To them, the whole trip took no more than 15 minutes. But when they got to their car, they were stunned. The sun was rising. It was almost 6 a.m. They had entered the store just after midnight. Where had the 5 hours gone? They had no memory of it. It was just a blank space in their minds. The employees had their own bizarre experiences. A cashier named Jessica reported that the line of customers at her register never seemed to end. It was the same group of about 20 people, over and over. She would scan their items, they would pay, and then a few minutes later she'd look up and see the same faces at the back of the line, holding the exact same products. She started to feel like she was losing her mind, caught in a bizarre dream. She tried to call her manager, but her phone had no signal, a common complaint from everyone inside the store that night. What was happening inside Starlight & Sons? Theories began to fly. Some people believed it was a mass psychological event, a shared delusion brought on by the stress, lack of sleep, and sensory overload of a Black Friday sale. The strange lighting, the constant music, the sheer number of people, it all could have contributed to a collective distortion of time perception. Our brains are notoriously unreliable when it comes to tracking time, especially when we're deeply focused or highly stressed. But others were convinced something more paranormal was at play. The building that housed Starlight & Sons was old, very old. Local legends said it was built on the site of an old clock factory that had burned down under mysterious circumstances. Some stories claimed the factory's owner was obsessed with time and had been experimenting with strange temporal mechanics before the fire. Was it possible that some residual energy, some echo of the past, was awakened by the massive surge of human energy on Black Friday? Did the store become a place where the normal rules of time simply didn't apply? By 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, the store finally began to empty. The last few shoppers stumbled out, looking dazed and disoriented. They were met by concerned family members who had been waiting for hours, some having even filed missing person reports. The stories they told were wild and contradictory. Some shoppers were furious, claiming the store had held them captive. Others were just confused, unable to account for the lost hours. A few, strangely, seemed invigorated, as if their brief journey outside of time had refreshed them. Starlight & Sons never commented officially on the strange events of that night. They quietly returned to their normal business hours the following week. The open all-night promotion was never repeated. To the outside world, it was just a crazy, over-the-top Black Friday sale. But for those who were there, it was something much more. It was the night they stepped into a store and walked out of time itself. The story serves as a bizarre, modern folktale, a cautionary tale about consumerism, perhaps, or just a spooky story to tell on a dark night. It makes you wonder, the next time you lose track of time in a store, is it just you being distracted? Or is there something else at play? Maybe some places have their own rhythm, their own pulse, and for one night, Starlight & Sons let everyone feel it. What do you think happened? Was it a psychological phenomenon or something supernatural? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you have any strange shopping stories of your own, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more strange tales. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.